McDonald's shares have been on a tear lately, hitting some all-time highs last week, up 22% over the past for the year to date. The company's now two-thirds of the way through a redesign of its restaurants all around the world. Tomorrow, they bring that redesign to a new location in Times Square. It'll be one of the busiest McDonald's in the world by customer transactions. 3 stories, 11,000 square feet, 18 self-order kiosks. CEO Steve Easterbrook gave us an exclusive tour. We asked whether the company's recent upward guidance on G&A spend means that this investment window they're in has been extended.
A little bit, yes, because I think as we've executed the growth plan, we spent the first 2 years, so 3 or 4 years ago, turning the business around. Now we've had a couple of years of growth. I think we're confident now that we're beginning to identify further opportunities to further accelerate growth.
What do you think's holding back traffic, right? And when do you start lapping traffic positive?
Well, I think across the entire sector, traffic is tight
Absolutely.
right now, and people are eating out less, would you believe it or not. And they have been progressively eating out less for a number of years, whether it's the advent of home delivery, for example, which is something we participate in, as you know. But at the moment, it's just a little bit tight out there, and so it's a fight for market share. Anyone who is getting growth typically is because they're adding new units. People are finding it hard to get that like-for-like guest count growth. And it's something that we have stated as an ambition of ours. We think that's a measure of the true health of the business. And last quarter we did grow traffic, and we've grown traffic the last couple of years, but only modestly. And you know, we want to be stronger than that.
Later this morning, we'll talk to Steve Easterbrook about the company's efforts in M&A. They have hired some companies that do AI, get a report card on the consumer, and yes, more on whether they're interested in Beyond Meat or any alternative protein. Shares have come in, Jim, as the China fears have.
And he's not that exposed to China. It's going to be a great interview. Everything he said it's incredible, his humility. He's turned the chain around, and yet there's a lot more to go. I think you completely bank with him. I can't wait to hear the interview because he's one of the most thoughtful people. When you deal with him directly as a customer, he's really rather incredible about the notion of what a treat it can be. He can change the whole food chain if he wants to, and all the time he will. He's very liberal when it comes to, he's not. Yeah, I think he believes in climate change.
Part of.
No, which would lead what? To a bigger order from Impossible Burger or Beyond Meat or some sort
He's got a huge. He has 1,400 stores that are using the Nestle Burger. 1,400 stores that are using the Nestle Burger. Now, I candidly didn't like the Nestle Burger as much as the Beyond, and I liked the Impossible more than the Beyond. But maybe the German tastes are different.
It's definitely an international thing, which we'll get to later. But problem with McDonald's, like with all sourcing, if they decide to step in, they tip the entire market.
They sure
do. Remember that famous Ray Dalio story where they got into the chicken for Chicken McNuggets, and they had to come up with instruments to help the market sustain this demand?
Well, look, I think he's a visionary. I think that the actual thing that matters the most is the AI. If they can tell you what look, if they do a real affinity, I mean, I've ordered the same thing at McDonald's for 25 years. And why do they not know that?
They should.
Thank you.
Absolutely know that. Carl, coming into today, some of the themes that I'm hearing are, the consumer remains relatively strong. The concern is really about CEOs and their view of the world and whether they're getting cautious. So you've got two here. You've got a guy who can tell you how the consumer's feeling and obviously how he's feeling about things. I don't know what you found.
Yeah, we usually ask him for a report card on the consumer, and we put that to him flat. Here's what he said.
Unemployment being reduced or employment growing, that's a very positive thing. What we are seeing is a slight diffraction in age, though. The consumer confidence of the under 35s is not as high as the consumer confidence of the over 35s, for example. Now that, again, is a fairly sweeping, it's a fact, but it's a fairly sweeping generalization. And you have to get it into region by region because there are differentiations there as well. But I think by and large the consumer's in a fairly decent place.
I thought that was interesting. If you look at the Consumer Conference Board numbers we got yesterday, and you slice it by age, under 35, chart looks nothing like the overall chart.
It is incredible how different. Now, I was with a couple of executives over the last 5 days who just literally have different game plans for the ages. Yesterday, I know we're going to have a little tape from Mondelez, but they're entirely thinking about what those people want versus what, say, my generation wants.